Nobody swam ever the Dead Sea. People come and float there and then they run along. But not many people have ever kind of stayed there and obviously swam it. So we did a swim. We swam from Jordan, Kingdom of Jordan, to Israel, 7.5 hours. We hold a Guinness record for that. And it was a fantastic event. It's considered the most complicated sport event ever. This was stated by the Olympic Committee.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Biblical Money. I'm your host, Rabbi Rami Goldberg. I'm here with a special guest who is here in Israel. We don't have that actually all too often. Most of the people that I've interviewed and have had on thus far have actually been from overseas. And Oded is a businessman who has gone into really saving one of Israel's greatest assets, and that's the Dead Sea. And we'll hear a bit more about that from him. Oded, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
So, Oded, tell me a bit about your business background, because I think that informs so much about what you're trying to do today, and it's really from that background that you're able to even go with this audacious task of doing something that nobody else seems to be paying attention to, that's shrinking right before our eyes.
Yes, I fully agree with you. I'll just start with one comment. You've mentioned that it's the most fascinating place in Israel, but it belongs to the whole humanity and to the universe. I mean, we're talking about a gem, the lowest place on the planet. And so, it's one of the wonders of this planet. Therefore, we who live here have a responsibility to take care of it. About myself, I've been an entrepreneur for many years, let's say 30 years, mainly working in business that are related to water, whether it's irrigation, desalination, whatever has to do with water, I've probably done so, worked with it. I've used it in agriculture and so on. I've been involved in many startups. In this arena, usually Israelis are very known with this kind of the irrigation realm. And so, that's what I've been doing for most of my life. In between, I had two interesting startups, one in literature and one in music. The literature one was about preserving languages, Semite languages, Yiddish, Aramaic, Hebrew, and Arabic. We kind of created an audiobook platform. I'm talking 2005, before we invented the wheel, something like that. And so nobody knew what we are talking about. Why do we need books online? Why someone in Brooklyn needs to know Harry Potter and someone in Australia needs to know to listen to Tehillim? But that was my thing. How could we bring these languages into the ears of people and get to them to know this Semite languages? Then I had a startup in music. And I was the first startup that actually delivers music into radio stations. It was the first in the world. And then I took that technology back to this agriculture thing, because basically I love water and I love agriculture. And so I took that same technology of music into to growing our food. And I've established a joint venture in South Africa. And so on. And so this is what I've been doing most of my life. My other hat is I hold a few world records in swimming. So I swam from Cyprus to Israel. This is how I started. That swim, we hold the world record for the longest relay swim. We did so in order to raise awareness for the overuse of plastics that reach our ocean, that contaminate each and every single, body of water around this planet, and we succeeded. So we understood this equation of creating some kind of an event, bringing people together, telling this fantastic story, which is audacious, which is very, it's a feat never done before. And in doing so, creating attention and moving the needle, basically creating a law. A year or so later, a friend of mine came with this thing. He said, listen, the Dead Sea, Yam HaMelach, as we call it, it's shrinking. What should we do? I told him, we will swim it. Nobody swam ever the Dead Sea. People come and float there and then they run along. But not many people have ever kind of stayed there and obviously swam it. So we did a swim. We swam from Jordan, Kingdom of Jordan, to Israel. 7.5 hours. We hold a Guinness record for that. And it was a fantastic event. It's considered the most complicated sport event ever. This was stated by the Olympic Committee. And I thought in doing so, we will save it. I mean, someone in the governments, whether here or there, Jordan, will look at the situation and say, wow, yeah, we need to save it. So just for the understanding, the Dead Sea is shrinking in an alarming rate. Its water level is dropping by 1 centimeter every 3 days. Once again, every 3 days, it's falling by 1 centimeter. It has fallen by 40 meters in around 30 years. So imagine every year it falls around 1.2 meters. It means in Israel, it creates a larger shore. Most of
So
these shores,
about 120 feet for our American listeners, right?
exactly. And most of our shores now are shut, except one in the north. The sea itself is now divided into two basins, the northern one and the southern one. Why is it happening? Because not much water is going through the Jordan River to the Dead Sea. That's one thing. And the other thing is the mineral companies that are extracting potash and so on, and they're doing so in a very obsolete manner. So 2022, now, why don't we have so much water in the Jordan River? Because during, the 1670s, we needed water for drinking, for irrigation. It was legit to take water out of the Jordan River and so on. And we relied on the Sea of the Galilee, the Kinneret. But things have changed in the last 20 years. Israel is creating, producing water, desalinating. More than 70% of our drinking water is desalinated. So we have the technology, we have the knowledge, we have the capacity. So 2 years ago, I've established an organization called the Dead Sea Guardians, Shomrei Yam HaMelach. By the way, I refrained from using the Dead Sea. It's not a good term. It comes with a bad karma and doesn't reflect it's sea of life. So we call it Yam HaMelach because it's salty, 36% of, salinity. It's the healthiest place for us humans on the planet. Did you know that?
Really?
Rabbi
I mean,
Rami.
I love it's healthy for me because when I go there, I'm on vacation, my stress levels are down, and I
There you
feel,
have it.
feel at ease.
Exactly. And there's a reason for that. It's not, by coincidence. There's few reasons. One, it's the highest amount of oxygen you have in Yam HaMelach. So because you descend minus 439 meters below sea level, the lowest place on the planet, so you have the highest amount of oxygen. So every time you go there, remember to breathe. And when you breathe, you have more oxygen. So that is one thing. The other thing is the minerals. The highest percentage of minerals in the air, in the mud, in the water. Then you have the solar radiation. It's the lowest on the planet. Why? Because you descend. You go, as you go lower, there's more filters. So you can stay more in the sun, absorb all the UVB that you need for your skin. And the last thing
You don't really get burnt there as a
you
result?
don't really get burned. I mean, eventually, if you stay there like for forever, you will. But unlike any other place on the planet, you don't. That's why it's so important for people who have issues with their skin, like psoriasis. That's the only place on the planet that will provide them some ease and cure. The only place is here, an hour from where you live. Just imagine. And there's this peace and quiet. So these, attributes, all four of them, allowed it to be the healing place for us humans. But we've neglected it. We forgot it. We kept our eye, blind. We kept a blind eye, sorry, and for too many years. And the state of Israel didn't take responsibility. Say that's far, it's hot, who cares? And people come there, they float and they go. But no, it's a very important, unique place. There's no other place on the planet. It's the main corridor for migrating birds, from all the way from Mozambique to Europe. So it's a place that it's unique, it's important for the planet. We humans don't understand how much. We usually play with nature, but we don't understand the equation. We do not understand the consequences. When you delve into it, you understand. And when you look especially at the place near Yam HaMelach, you say, wait, what Rabbi Rami said now, that's interesting. How come all prophets all prophets went to Yam HaMelach? How come all prophecies were in Yam HaMelach? Something in the air. Okay,
Like
something in the desert.
which ones? Just give some of the examples of who went down there.
Go to Qumran. I don't know if you're familiar. People go to Metzada, but in Qumran, all the scrolls that became eventually what we read every Shabbat were found in Qumran. All the prophets went to these areas, whether you're Jewish or Christians. I mean, Jesus was baptized just by the sea. So they all lived there. Something happened there, in a philosophical, physical manner that allowed them to be who they are. And there's a reason. But we are Neanderthals now. We take it for granted. Where's the hotel? Where's dinner? But when you stay there for a long time and you absorb this atmosphere, and you, as you said wisely, you become a better version of yourself. You kind of contemplate and you see all these mountains and nothing has changed for thousands of years. And they were all here, the Romans, the Phoenicians. King Solomon had a date with Queen Sheba here. Why? How come? What's so unique in this place? And why we kind of neglected it. People, there's the word salary. Every month people wait for the salary. Where did the word salary come from? Salt. The Romans who lived over there in Qumran, and by Mitzada in Qumran, they gave salt. When we say covenant of salt, or when the same, you gave salt to someone, that's the Brit. Okay, that's where we are one. Salt was so important.
Let me ask you. We know that area was where Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodom and Amorah were in that area. So it doesn't seem like the Bible holds that area too highly. As it seems like it was. So I'm just curious if you've given that any thought.
I assume as an allegory kind of a place, because it's a prism. It's kind of, it reflects the human behavior of ours. I don't know if Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodom and Amorah really was there, although there are places now that are called Sodom and Amorah, but it reflects us humans, the way we behave and what we receive in return. But then there's the redemption, and then from that point on, you just become a nation. The Israelites crossed there, just nearby. Jesus was baptized there. Elijah went to the skies on that place. So why there? Why all of these events happen there? There's probably a reason. So for me, it's a sacred place. It's a holy place for me. I come there every now and then. I mean, on a weekly basis. By the way, I live 2 hours drive from there. But for me, easy, because whenever I go there, I know that I become a better version of myself. I understand the equation. I understand the relationship, the interaction with this nature, because it's nature there. And the fascinating thing is that you look at the mountains and the sea and you understand that nothing has changed. It's the same. So then you kind of, when you internalize it, you say, wow, so I'm part of this chain. So I'm actually part of that chain, that long journey of ours, whether separated or together, I don't really care, but this is the journey. And here we stopped for a while, and we stayed, and we wrote, and we lived. And so what is my duty? I want to bring it back, because people need to understand their roots. People need to understand the story. People need to say, V'higadeta lebincha bayom hahu. You need to read that story and you say, wow, I didn't know that. And when you're there, you're fascinated. You're in an awe. I've never went there and I wasn't like in an awe. And when I go to Kasser Yahud, the place where Jesus was baptized and Eliyahu Allah to the skies, I'm fascinated by what people who come from all over the world to see this place, what they go through. They're reborn. It's like,
I think what's interesting actually about that that particular place. My my wife was recently there, and she's like, yeah, this is the place where the Jews crossed into Israel, right? And so there's a when after being in the desert, and she said, and it's the Jordan River is so low. We're at like something like 8% or 10% of like capacity of what it could be. And so people are like, wow, it's like I can't. The Jews crossed here, or Jesus was baptized. No, it was like a raging river. It was like significantly larger, and this is something where we have we have the ability and the technology to turn the spigots back on and recreate something much bigger. Right now, it's a little bit embarrassing as this kind of dirty water pool, as opposed to it being this fresh water that is flowing through there at a much higher rate.
I have, thank you for that. Yeah, I have actually a photo around 100 years ago of Lord Balfour crossing that stretch of water in the Jordan River. There were 22 horses standing one behind of the other to cross the river. So imagine 20, and so do the math. It was a river. It was a mighty, holy river. Now, our goal as an organization is to bring back that river to life, to create a better flow, to force and convince the government of Israel, and then later on the other governments here, well, basically it's the Jordanians, to bring it back to life, and for so many reasons. So our perspective comes from an ecological one, but moreover the economics. So we believe that economics can move things around, especially now following this horrendous year and a half. How could we take this kind of topic, which is a soft topic, and instead of delving again to all these, the same old discourse, look at this Jordan River, look at Yam HaMelach, and say, okay, that's an opportunity. From that lowest point, we can just go up. We can simply focus on how on earth could we bring back to life both the Jordan River and the sea, because we can. It's all a matter of understanding the importance. This is the holiest place, for more than half of the population of this planet, the Jordan River. Now, I'm obliged that it look good. I have an obligation, I have a mitzvah to make it look fantastic. I owe these people, okay? Because I live in a place that is sacred, that is holy for so many people. And so why do I neglect it? Why do I keep a blind eye? So my goal is to save the Jordan River through technologies. We've already, presented so many times in the parliament, and next week we're doing so again. We have a plan. We want to use desalination. We want to incentivize the Jordanians somehow through a third party to build these water treatment facilities in the Jordanian side and the Palestinians, because we're not doing anyone a favor. We're just helping nature to recover. And we need so. All the tributaries to the Jordan River have been blocked. Why? We can change that equation. As I said, we have the technology. We now have to embrace the wisdom and the understanding that economics is a way to move forward to prosperity and to stability in this region. Why? Because we want to live here. We want to live here, happily ever after. And the only way to move forward is to create some sort of wise kind of program that, embraces economics. And, imagine we'll have agriculture and high tech and adventures and pilgrimage and so on and so forth. Tomorrow morning, we have all kinds of programs in our organization. So tomorrow we are heading for the northern part of the Jordan River. The program is called In Search of the Hidden Waters. And what we do whitewater rafting on the Jordan River, then head to the Sea of Galilee, to the Kinneret, then walk through the Jordan River as far as we can, then drive all the way to the sea, to Yam HaMelach, to understand what's this fantastic, holy river. Only by going through these paths and through the motions, you understand. Wow, so this is Eretz Canaan. So this is the the land of milk and honey, because it's not just reading about it in the books. No, it's feeling, understanding, breathing, embracing, and then we will fix it. Yes, it is a tikkun olam.
Right. It's yeah, no, it's something that's it is so important to connect to the land. And I was just out in Samaria earlier this week, and until you are in certain places, I was on Mount Kabir, which overlooks the Mount of Blessings and the Mount of Curses, and Shechem, which and you, by being there, all of us, and our tour guide was explaining, well, this is where Joseph and his brothers likely had their fight. And he's like, the reason why, it's because it's the only place that makes sense to kind of enter the hilltops. It doesn't, and it's the place of the pastures. There's the lowland. I mean, we were looking down from Mount Kabir, but it's when you appreciate that, I really feel that the Bible goes from being this two-dimensional document to 3D and really even 4D, because you're kind of walking alongside through history in that particular location that they were in. And so I think it really is.
Exactly. That experience for, whoever comes with me to this experience, and I'm constantly I'm still in a learning curve. You're telling me this story and I have goosebumps, because I say, wow, just because all your senses, they become alive. You smell it, you feel it, you sweat it, you understand it. And then when you read it, you say, wow. So this is the story. So I understand and I feel and I really understand what they went through. And then you understand this whole place, the complexity, the potential, the magic, you understand it. Nobody needs to read before you. You have the manual in front of you. And then you have to ask yourself, so now what? Now that I live here, now that I look upon this place, and now that I understand that I'm another link in the chain, what do? I do with it? Because there is Vehigadeta lebincha. So how do you do that Vehigadeta? Can I invite anyone to Mount Kabir? Yes, no, question.
Yeah, and we need to, as you say, in terms of preserving it. I went on a tour recently with one of the great archaeologists, and he was talking about how they're building certain places in Jerusalem, and they're kind of just putting up skyscrapers. And he said, you're not respecting the land. And that's also so much that, the amount of times that it talks about the land, and it was very specific as it's describing all the different aspects. And it's not just stam, meaning it could have told a story of a faraway land and as some fairy tale, but that's clearly not what the Bible is teaching us. That, it's really trying to ground home that it's here. This is where things actually happen.
It's here, exactly. And so what I do with our team is this. We take it from all kinds of aspects. Because some wants to hear the biblical, and some the archaeology, and some the geology, and some want to understand the migrating birds. And I said, listen, it's all connected. You cannot divide. This is life. Everything is connected. All these stories, they have a reason they are connected, and you cannot detach one from another. It's all here. This is how life is. And what we should do is take in consideration all of the above, and each and every one, whichever kind of energy, vessel, competence he can, make that tikkun. So, if you're a teacher, teach it at your school. If you're a CEO, let's bring your company. Go into there and have that experience, because these are the basic values that we should teach one another. And we have it all here around us. Simple. Just go outside and you'll see it. Simple as that.
Amazing. I want to come back to just something you said earlier. You talked about water startups. I'm assuming you went to the WATEC conference.
Of course.
Back in the day.
I was the steering committee.
You're right. I'm guessing we must have crossed paths there even before this later iteration where we met. But tell us just about some of the technology, the big technology that changes from 15 or 20 years ago to how
Hmm.
we're doing things today. Just because Israel's so well known, people are like, oh, drip irrigation, but that's it. But there's so much more. So give
Oh,
us a
you
little
bet.
bit of a flavor of some of those changes that have happened.
So even if we just delve into the desalination, if we did not desalinate water about 30 years ago, we would not exist. Okay, so we crystallized that. We went far away with this desalination thing, and today more than 70%, as I said, of our water is desalinated, and some of it, what we aim is to convince the governments that some of this water would go to the Sea of Galilee, which is actually going now, and from that point on goes down the Jordan River. So desalination has improved, and it's exponential because you add to it renewable energy. Okay, because people say, "Oh, but desalination, so much energy," but this has changed so much. Wind and solar power and so on and so forth has changed too. So the last 20 years was dramatic in terms of how we use renewable energy and desalination. Same goes with water treatment facilities. Israel treats more than 85% of its water. Okay, so almost each and every drop that goes into the sewage is treated and then goes back to nature or to agriculture, depends where. This is something people all over the world need to embrace. I mean, people don't understand water. This is the thing. I've had a few groups from the US, and I said, listen, when you open the tap, water comes out. But in most of the places around the world, this is not the situation. Since I've worked a lot in Africa and in India, in developing countries, it's not that obvious. You open the tap, and sometimes all you hear is, today there is no water. Wait. For us, it's obvious. We open the water, we wash, we leave it open, we go to the swimming pool. There's always water. It wasn't the situation many years ago. So first of all, treat it with gratitude. Bless water. We have a blessing. Every morning that I drink my first cup, I bless it. I say, thank you, water. I always have water around me. I say, thank you. You will soon become me. We're 70% of water. The globe is 70% of water. How come? So the same. Interesting. You know, contemplate on it. It's interesting. So what this thing was of water, especially here in the Middle East, it was always an issue. From Boaz and Ruth met by the well. It was always about water, and it will always be. Only thing is, now it's easier. So we negotiate through water. We can make things through water. We have the technology, the capability, the wisdom. Let's do it perfect, the best that we can, and bring others to the table. And in doing so, we preserve nature. And when we preserve nature, again, we're not doing a favor anyone. I took upon myself this path of saving Yam HaMelach for generations to come. And it's not an easy task because, I established a non-profit. I was never there. What's a non-profit? It's donations and, it's like asking a favor. But I don't want to ask favor. That's the thing. I want people to understand that we're very limited in time. Every 3 days, the sea level drops. That's our clock. That's it. Simple. If we wait, we will lose it. Now, if God forbid we will, continue damaging this place, we won't have our face, where our reputation will be bad. And pilgrims won't come because people don't go to broken places. People don't, take a flight to Chernobyl or Fukushima or Lake Chad or Lake Aral. No, they go to places that are alive, you know, places that are healing. Now, we have the place that heals. My goal this year, especially, is to heal humanity. Rabbi Rami, no less. I want to heal humanity. I want to, rebrand this place, call it the Sea of Life, not the Dead Sea. Yam HaMelach, the Sea of Life. The place where all of you, this will be the global healing center. This is my goal, to rebrand it, to call it the global healing center. People will come here. They will have their place to practice, to retreat, to breathe. Remember, we need to breathe here. To be, to engage, to hear a different story, to hear a story. You know, I want to, next year we plan to have this kind of a global summit, and I want to bring in interesting people, you know, the best and brightest. I had, when I swam the Yam HaMelach, I had Sir Richard Branson from Virgin Company, and they endorsed the swim. He actually called me the guardians of the oceans because, as I said, I swam all oceans and did quite a few interesting stuff. By the way, yesterday, 7 years ago, I swam from San Diego to Mexico to help refugees. Yes, you know, you can Google it. So I did quite a few crazy swims, all for a cause, all for raising awareness, all for changing the mindset and telling people, listen, life is short, nature is wonderful, people are wonderful, talk to them, have some coffee, do interesting things, bring a tikkun, make it better than when you came. Much better, cleaner, healthier, happier. This is the mitzvah. This is imperative. You should make it a better place for your kids, for your grandchildren. They will appreciate it. Walk on that path. It's a very easy path. Just do one step. And I invite people to join my path because, as I said, we will heal humanity. We will. You just wait and see. And I invite you to be part of that path. And as I said, next year, I want to create a summit, an international summit like Davos, kind of. And I'm actually looking for partners now. And so one of these persons, which is kind of a very kind of a well-off person I met in Miami, said, but do you have 5 stars hotel in Yam HaMelach, in the Dead Sea? And I, for a moment, because, you know, we don't. Well, we have nice hotels, but I understood that he's like looking for a very kind of a posh. And I was thinking for a moment, I said, no, we don't have 5 stars hotel. We have a 1 billion star hotel. And you know what? You'll be in a tent. I'll build you a tent. You're coming to a biblical place. I'll build you a tent. And the tent will be open for guests. And you have a fire in the middle. And you know what? You'll have to take off your shoes because we say, Shalna alecha me'al raglecha. So you'll take off the shoes and you enter the tent and you'll meet interesting people. And this lady said, Oded, I don't know when the summit is. Please write it. I want to be there. I'm writing you a check. I want to be part. So this is what I want to do next year. So, and all of this is part of the journey of creating more and more experiences and activities to expose this place, to change its PR, to hopefully change its name, to change our reputation. Israel doesn't look good outside now. Why? Because we're not putting attention. But we have a fascinating place here. We live in a magic here. People are wonderful. Our intentions are good. We bring hope to the people. And
So,
we will continue doing so.
so Oded, if someone wants to get involved with what you're working on, how do they find you and connect?
So first of all, you can contact me directly. I'll be more than happy. Even there's 1 million, because we aim to have 1 million Dead Sea Guardians in this year. So it's Oded at deadseaguardians.org, or log into the website deadseaguardians.org, deadseaguardians.org. Leave a note, register, log into the newsletter, have information. Come as you are. Help us save the sea for the sake of humanity and generations to come.
It's beautiful, and it's a beautiful mission, and really in terms of like just preserving that legacy, that history that is there, that as you talked about in terms of it being a place of holiness for really half the world. So it's just a place that we need to preserve. And thank you for your work in that, and hopefully we'll find some people that can join with this mission and do some great work.
Thank you so much. Indeed, I need a lot of people. It takes a village, probably more, to save this place. It takes funds, because in order to move the mindset of governments, they need to understand. We need wise people that understand that there's only now. There's only now. And tomorrow is just a promise that, there's only now. And this is our duty to make it now.
Amazing.
Thank
Thank
you
you
ever
so
so
much.
much.
God bless.